Okay, welcome to today's problem. We're looking at how to solve this particular question. Okay, so here the question says, this is a why question, and the question says you should construct full size the template shown below, right? Showing clearly the centers of the arc point and then to the point of tangency. So let's get dive into the lesson. All right. So first of all, we need to know that we have to create this center line, okay? The distance between the center of circle A and circle B, distance is given as 100 millimeter, right? So let's first of all get that done. So to do that, I'm going to take my ruler too, okay? And then well, because we know that we need to have a lot of space, okay, up here. So to do this, so I'm going to bring my drawing down, okay, of my drawing sheet. So this is my A4 drawing sheet, all right. So I'm going to bring my drawing towards the tape end, okay. So I'm going to have this point somewhere here. So let me assume that I'm going to keep this at the center here. So let me draw my Given pencils, okay, so let me draw my line. All right, so let's draw our line, center lines, okay. Take note that the line is 100, so I'm going to start from 1. Let me start from 2, okay. So dotted line, center line, dash, short dash, okay. So short dash, long one, short dash, long one, short, long, short, long. Don't forget I'm stopping at 20, okay. And then so this is my point, okay. So I'm going to stop at this point. Now hence to do that, I have to note this point. So okay, so I'm noting this point as my point A, okay. So I note this point quickly. I have this point and then I also have this point noted, okay. So this is my point A, this is my point B. So take note that what we have, take note what we have here is 2 to 12, that is 10, or 10 centimeter, which is equivalent to 100 millimeter, okay. So this is my point A, and this is my point B, okay. So I could still continue doing this so that I can have the center line down to this point, but then I could complete that later. All right, so once that is done, the next thing that I'm going to do here is to draw my circle. Okay, so I'm going to get my protractor. I'm going to get my protractor. Don't forget that we are asked to draw radius of this circle is 44 and this is 32. So okay, so let's take note of that. So radius 44 and radius 32. So to bring that here, so this is my pin. All right, so this, take note that this is equivalent to what we have here. All right, so I want you to understand that this is equivalent. What I have here is same thing as what I have here. All right, so here this is my, this point signifies the center point where I can go to turn around, okay. And then you see if I turn here around, so that is basically going through a circle. So this point is fixed, okay. Now, so this is same concept I have here, so that we, in case you're confused, you have clarity. So what I have here is I'm going to measure. So what I'm going to have here, sorry for that, is that I'm going to measure 44. Okay, so I'm going to measure 44. Right, so let's have that. I'm going to measure 44. So from here, that's 4.4. All right, so this is 4. Okay, 4.4 is somewhere here. Okay, 4.4 is somewhere here. So let's know that there's going to be little errors based on it. And then once I'm done, I'm going to move that here, set it at my point A, set at my point A, okay, and then there. So I could still zoom in. So let me zoom in so I can see better. Okay, all right. So we have this. We're going to come back to that later. right? So I have this, and then so I can place this properly, right? So placing this on the right spot here, I can draw my circle of radius 44. Okay, so circle now radius 44. We're going to go, okay, so that is going off the radar. So let us come back again to minimize this. All right, so doing that, I'm going to have that again. So this is what I have now. Okay, so I have drawn the first circle. All right, so I'm going to move this back to measure the next point to also to measure the line that the radius of the circle, the circle to which we're drawing the second point is 32. So radius 32 is going to be somewhere here. So I'm going to move this to this is 3. That's this 30, 32 is going to be somewhere here. So once that is done, I'm going to move this over here, moving this over to this point, and then at this point of B, take note at my point B, I'm standing at this point of B to draw a circle. Okay, so I have this. All right, so the circle that will successfully join the two circles. Okay, now so this is what we'll have, and now we can go ahead now to complete off this other part. So to quickly draw this point properly, so I have this center point dash dash center point dash, and then we'll have this. Then I'm going to move this over to this point to quickly complete this part. So I'm having the same thing. I have dash dash, and then I have this. Okay, I'm also going to do same thing for my vertical axis. So let me draw my vertical axis. So what I have there, I'm going to rotate this so I can have my straight line. Okay, so moving this here, how do I know that my line is perfectly straight? I could use it, I could align this, okay, alongside with um, my set square. All right, so I could have this in my set square. So let me have this. Let's have this okay somewhere here. So just to show you what we're doing. So if I have this here aligned so that this could be aligned properly. All right, so I have this at this point. Now I can get rid of this point. I want to come here, draw your center line. Okay, so let's draw a center line from here. So what we'll have a dash, little dash, one dash, two dash, one dash. Okay, and I have this part to here. This gives me same thing. As we'll have here is, so this gives me the same thing. So I have here, I have this, this. Okay, so I have this, then I have this. Okay, so hence we're done with this. So we'll get rid of this. All right, and the next thing that we're going to do again here, as you can see from this diagram, is to quickly create arcs. Okay, so this is, let's create the external first. So to create the external, that is going to give us the sum of, we're going to add the radius to the radius of the arc. All right, so the radius of the circle is given as 44. So we're going to go back and say radius of circle. So I'm going to do that here. That radius of circle A is equals to 44 centimeter, sorry, 44 millimeter. Okay, so 44 millimeter. And then to get the first arc is going to be radius of circle A. The radius of circle B is equals to, okay, radius of circle B is equals to 32. So this is radius of circle B is 32 millimeter. Then radius of arc A is equals to 50 millimeter, and then radius of arc B is equals to, so let's see, 120 millimeter. Okay, this is 120, this is 50. So this is the internal, this is the external, this is the internal. So rest of the internal arc is 120. So this is 120 millimeter. Okay, so that's 120 millimeter, right? Now 120 millimeter. Okay, so now for us to draw the first arc, okay, to draw the external arc joining point A and B, what we need to do is to add, so we're going to add the radius of A to the radius of the arc. So radius of circle A plus that of the arc, radius of the arc, that will give us 44 plus 50, that gives us 90, that gives us 94 millimeter. Okay, and then similar thing, radius of B plus the radius of arc B, so that's going to give us radius of arc is 32 plus 50 is going to give us 82 millimeter. Okay, so this is what we're going to use. All right, so um, draw our first arc. So doing that, what I have now, so quickly I'm going to do that using my ruler. All right, so let's do that quickly. What do you have? I bring in my ruler again. All right, so once I bring in my ruler, and then I have to measure 94. Okay, so 94. Before that, let me quickly move this. Let me quickly move this right in here so that we can have this top part all free. Okay, so I've moved my right up to here. So now what I'm going to do quickly from this point is to measure 82. So 82 is going to be somewhere from here to this. I'm going to move this back to this point. So let me move this up to this point. This is 0. Okay, now and then since this is 0, we're going to move this point now. Okay, please, let's get rid of this and bring this up again. My compass is here. Okay, so this is now being moved to this point. This is my 0. Alright, so I'm extending this to 82. Okay, so we can look into 94. So let me do the first one, 94, and then the other one is 82. So if I do that, I'm having 82 is here. Okay, so at this point of it, so I'm going to move it and put my point at point A. Put my pin at point A so that we can get the essence instead of we can get this first part. Okay, so if I do that, what I have here is that I'm going to strike this off. I'm going to make an arc from here. So let's make an arc. So let's extend this a little bit. Okay, then I can make an arc. Okay, sorry, please. Let's use something lighter in making an arc. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and then I have from this point that I have this, making an arc this way. So this is going to this point. Okay, then I'm going to return this back to this point so that I can measure the point for B, and for that of B we'll have it to be 94. So from this point I have to move this to 94. So 94 is somewhere here. Okay, I guess the first one I did was what? So, okay, let me verify if it was 94. Okay, so if it was 94, let me see if from here. Okay, and then I move to this point. Okay, so the first one was 94. Alright, so now I have to measure second point being 82. So 82 is going to be from here, and then I'm having this point down to this. Okay, so 82. So I have this 82 is at this point 82. Okay, then I'm taking my distance back to point B. Taking my compass to point B. Okay, and from point B I'm going to make also an arc that cuts through this point. So let me put it properly at point B, and then I'm going to cut through this point here. Okay, so where these two arc meet, I'm going to call that my point C. Alright, that gives me my point C. Okay, now so this is for the first circle, and then I'm going to stand. We are told that the radius of this arc is 50. So at this point where I have at this point where I have the two arc meeting, I'm going to measure 50 and hereby so that I can complete my arc. Okay, so at this point I'm going to take this through. I'm turning this through to this point so I can measure my 50. Okay, so once I do that, I have this. Bring this back to this point. I have, okay, so I have 50 to be inclined at this point. It is my 50. Okay, so I'm going to take this point back to point C. It's my new center. This is my new center point, and then I'm going to quickly join this point to here. So you see what we'll have there. All right. So let's see what we'll have. So I have this joining. So first of all, let me quickly start at this point. Okay. Now I have to join this point down to this point. Okay, so you see that. So that's our first curve. All right, which is the external curve. Now I need to now continue to proceed with the new curve. To proceed with the new curve, I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm using radius. This is externally now. When it's externally, please, guys, let me quickly make this thing clear to you guys so you can understand this. Remember, we talked about the first one we added, all right? Now, but in this second case, when we're doing a tangent, we're using an arc to do a tangent, okay, for an internal, so that the arc, the circle is inside, okay, of the arc, right? The circle is outside of the arc, okay, so you can see that. Now we have to join this to this point with the circle being inside the arc, so this gives internal. In internal we subtract, so it's going to be so same thing that we did in the first one, all right? So it's just going to give us the same radius, okay? So that's going to be radius of A. Okay, so probably so that will give us radius of the arc first of all, which is 120 minus radius. So radius of arc A minus radius of A. Okay, so that's what we're going to get, and our arc is 120. Okay, so that's going to give us 120 minus 44. Okay, 120 minus 44. So that's what we want to do. Okay, so and this gives us 76 millimeter. Okay, so for the second one, we're going to have the radius of arc B minus radius of B. Okay, a radius of B was given to us here as 32. Okay, and radius of our arc, so that's going to be 120 minus 32. Okay, all right, and that gives us 88. So this is 88. Okay, so that gives 88 millimeter. So these are the two radius to which I'm going to draw now using the arc. So take note, please. Let's be very careful to know that we don't ensure that we don't get confused with different arcs. Okay, so I'm going to use a different color to represent the second arc. All right. So first of all, I'm going to bring also my measurement. So let's bring a compass to take our measurement. Right, so let's keep this properly erased. Okay, and then I'm measuring 76. So first of all, 76, to measure 76 from here, so that will give us this 76 is right here. Okay, so I'm going to change the thickness of my pen. I'm going to move this down to point A, and then to at this point I'm going to make this point I'm going to make my first, all right, cut. So this is cutting through here, and then I have this. Okay, so let me start again from this point, please take note of that. Let me start somewhere here. So I'm making this arc from this point. All right, so take note of that. I'm making this arc from here, so I have this to this point, and then let me turn this back to this point, and then measure the second point, which is 88. So come back to this point and then measure 88. So 88 gives us at this exact point. So that is 88. Let's be careful to take our measurement properly so that we don't have an issue with our arc joining properly. Okay, so 88 is somewhere here. Okay, so I'm okay with this. I'm going to move this down to point B, and then once I get at point B, I will turn over my distance to ensure that my two arc meet properly. So this is what I have, and then this is my joining point. Okay, this is the point at which both intersect. So I'm going to move this away and call this new point my point D. I'm going to call this new point my point D. Okay, so this is my point D. All right. Now then, moving this back so that we can now join, moving things straight so that we can virtually have everything back to position. So I'm going to measure 120, which is the radius to the internal circle. Okay, so I'm going to have 120. 120 have to increase this, okay, to 120. So this will give me this up to 120 here. I could see bring this up here. Okay, so you see I have exactly 120 millimeter. So I'm going to take that over to point D, and then at point D I'm going to stand at point D. Let's be sure that is at point D accurately. I'm going to stand at point D, and then I'm going to move my distance to touch this point. So you see this is what I'm going to have. Okay, so you see what I have here. Okay, so this is what I have. All right, so that's perfect with what we want. All right, so let's quickly see this. So from this point, I have this being drawn. So let me go back to my circle. All right, and then we'll have this. Sorry for that. So I have this drawn. Okay, down to this point. Okay, so this is what I have here. Okay, this other part didn't quite touch second circle, but basically that's what we have. So this way I've been able to draw correctly my given question that was given to us here. Alright, so this is how we've been able to interpret this. So quickly, let me come back to make sure that I have this part all tick. So I'm going to adjust this to this point, move this down to here, and then quickly adjust this to this point. So where I have this point, I'm going to try. First of all, try to ensure that I have everything perfectly matching. Okay. So if I do that again, what do I have? So I have this everything entering perfectly here. Okay, auto let's say just slash. So let me try that again. I have things being just perfect here. Okay, so this is what we have. Now so from here I'm going to take a second circle. Let's have this part all thick. So this is what I have. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, now we have this part thick now, and then I'm going to move this over to completing this second circle. Okay, so I'm going to have this at this point, the center point, and then I'm going to move this over. So let's increase this to this point and try to see if this enters. So just having this again so that we know that we have everything now drawn with our thick line. So just want to have a redraw of this thick circle, okay, with this. So that's what I'm just trying to do now. So we're done already. Alright, so having this, I have this in place. Do little touches here and there, but that's not a problem. So okay, we'll have this perfect now. So I'm going to take this turn. So I have this at this point. Okay, so let's come back with that and ensure that we have that done perfectly. I think I'm going to use this point, and then I have this to quickly fit in. So I have this to draw. I have this to draw, and then we'll have a perfect circle at this point. Okay, so that's basically how we've been able to draw to demonstrate. Okay, now to you guys using how to produce this same question that we had here. So now we've shown our centers. These are our centers. Okay, this point C and D are centers on how we were able to use to construct our arc. Alright, so I think I don't need this again. So all of this is gone, and you can do this. Okay, so what that is left for me now to do is to begin my dimensioning. All right, so I have to get my dimensioning done. So let me do this with my tick pen. All right, so I have my dimensions. That means I have this radius to be 50. Okay, so I'm going to bring this in from here. Sorry for that. All right, guys, sorry for that. So I have this to be 50 from this point. Okay, so let me use that to dimension this point. So this radius is radius 50. Okay, so this is radius 50, and what we have here to arrow, so have that to be arrow 50, arrow 50. Okay, now also I have this other point, this other radius, this I'm going to use from this point to this point. So this is radius 120. So I have this, and that is radius 120. Okay, so this is arrow 120, arrow 120. Okay, now we have this two radius. Now I also have this radius also here. So I have this point for this, from this point to this. Okay, and then from here, so let me dimension this. So this is done using radius. This bigger radius is circle is 44. It does 44, and then also have this point for this other radius. Okay, I'm going to have it from here to here, and have it from here also to here. I'm going to call this radius 32, arrow 32. Okay, so that is what we have so far for this entire diagram. Is anything that we're missing out? And virtually, okay, then finally we have the distance from this point to this point. So have the distance from here, have distance from, okay, let me quickly do this. So let me just quickly do this from here. Okay, so all right, so we have this line from here. Let's have that scratch that. Have this line from here. This dimension, this I'm going to use a tick pencil. Okay, from here down to this point. Okay, down to this point, and then I'm going to continue from this point down to this point. Okay, so this is 120. It's 100. Okay, this is 100. Sorry for that. So let me draw my arrowhead here. Okay, so this is 120 millimeter. Okay, or let me just leave it as 120. Okay, so we know that that place is automatically 120. Okay, so this is all that we have. Don't forget all of our units, all units are in millimeter. Please, all of our units are in millimeter. So far, this we've come to the end of this drawing. So I hope you understand and take your time to repeat this and to try this out on your own. Thank you very much, guys. All right, so we'll stop here and then we'll continue in our next lesson. In the next lesson, we're looking at how to draw those problems. Okay, so stay tuned until us as we're looking at how to do this, practice the size, and how to do this, and then we'll take also a look at how to work on this drawing. Don't forget, this is Daniel Maths Academy, okay, that brings you this lesson, and we're working on tangency. All right, see you guys in our next lesson.